Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fantasy Forge. I'm Cameron Holt, and today we're doing something the same but different. I recently learned about a fun little piece of software called ZBrush Core Mini, which is a free and watered down version, I guess, of ZBrush, a very expensive 3D modeling software. I personally have never done any 3D modeling on a computer. I come from a history of 3D art, you could say. Mostly ceramics. All the stuff that you see on this like little shelf behind me are things that I made throughout college and stuff like that. But I've always been interested in creating 3D models to potentially like 3D print at some point. And I thought, what better place to start than with my very first D&D Pokemon Fusion. So that's exactly what I did. Now, join me as I attempt to sculpt in 3D for the first time the Wiggle Hemoth. I start the same way I do with any drawing, by blocking out basic shapes. I've got my reference image on a different monitor to keep me on model. I'm still getting comfortable working with 3D, so a lot of this was trial and error, switching back and forth between the different brushes until I got into a good flow. If you're curious about the story behind the Wiggle Hemoth, you can learn about it in the video right here. There's a very fun tool for pulling out little snakes of geometry, so I used that for the tentacles, then adjusted them with the Move tool. For the three eyes, I used an inflation tool to make some bulbous peepers, and the iconic hair/flesh poof. For the mouth, I used the clay buildup tool, occasionally going back over the buildup with the shift key held down to smooth out the roughness. Then, it was time to start roughing in some detail around the mouth. With that getting to my liking, it's time to move on to those big bulbous stompers. I wasn't crazy about them at the time, but I actually think the feet came out pretty well. With the front of the piece in a good place, it was time to move on to the area I didn't have a reference for. The back. I was a little nervous about going in blind, but that lack of reference ended up being very freeing, and I was able to just go with the flow. How can something so grotesque be so pleasing to watch? Next, I turned off the symmetry once again to sculpt the ears, switching between building and carving with the clay strips brush. We're in the final stretch. The next step is to go in with the slash tool and carve in some finer detail around the eyes, defining the lids and folds. Next, we sculpt the tongue. This step would probably be much easier on a program that allows you to import multiple shapes to build from, but I managed to make it work through the use of the inflate brush followed by the snake brush. I fussed with it quite a bit, but ended up getting it pretty close to the source material. The last step is using the snake tool to pull out some teeth. And finally, sit back and bask in the glory of our golden boy. Okay, maybe not gold. And maybe just a few more details. And just a quick tail. And voila! Our hideous boy now exists in the third dimension. Go on, give us a spin. He's beautiful. Hey everybody, just wanted to pop in here real quick. So I filmed most of this video a couple of days ago, and in the time that's passed, my birthday happened, and I am now the proud owner of an Elegoo Mars Pro 3D printer, which is still crazy to say out loud and to be a thing that exists. But you know me, and I had to be super extra, and I went ahead and printed the Wiggle Hemoth. It's ridiculous. Go ahead, focus on in there. Wow. These resin printers are insane. I'll get some, oh, focus buddy. There we go. I'll get some better shots of this guy, and I'll probably paint it in a future video, but oh my gosh. I was so jazzed I had to share it with you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to Fantasy Forge for more content like this, as well as D&D Pokemon Fusions, where I do the initial designs of these things. And let me know if you want to see more of these in the future. I'll see all of you in the next video. But until then, stay safe out there, adventurers.